Where to Find Voiceover Opportunities in Each Genre, Part 2. Here's Part 2 of the original challenge posted by our admin and fellow voiceover talent, Cadden. He said one of the biggest challenges he's facing right now in his journey is where to find voiceover opportunities in each genre, how to find them, and then who to search for or market to. Now, Part 1 was last week, and we focused on
e-learning, museum tours, toys, and radio imaging.
So after this video is over, go ahead and check Part 1 out. You're not going to be disappointed. There's a lot of great information in there. Today, we're focusing on audiobooks, dubbing, in-show narration, and everyone's favorite, video games. Considering everything that I'm sharing in this video, this is a good time to mention our business branding and marketing workshop. If it's a struggle for you to even think about creating a plan to reach out to clients, potential clients, or agents, Heidi and I created the business branding and marketing course to help you out. And right now I've got a coupon code to save you some money. I'll link it in the notes. So let's kick off Part 2 with audiobooks. Where do you find opportunities for audiobooks? Audiobook production companies. Have you heard of a few? You might recognize these: Penguin Random House, Ahab, ACX, John Marshall Media, which is local to Atlanta, ProAudioVoices.com, under no contract, no work order from SAG, Audiobook Network. And that's not all. Every now and then you could also get auditions for audiobooks through agents or managers or even online casting sites or pay-to-plays. So how do you find these opportunities? The best way to start auditioning for audiobook opportunities is to join the various production company platforms. Ahab Talent for Penguin Random House, ACX.com for, you guessed it, ACX, and John Marshall Media uses rollcall.co. There are some other sites like ProAudioVoices.com, but it's under a no contract, no work order from SAG. AudiobookNetwork.com is another site. However, the rates aren't that great, and they pay by word count. You can also go to online casting sites to find audiobook work, but as a caveat, I would suggest only doing this if you're starting out. And that's because the rates aren't always in line with industry standards. As soon as you figure out that you know what you're doing, you need to get those rates up to where they should be and not settle for less. And you know, something that isn't often considered, but there have been talent who've booked audiobook jobs simply by making connections. They just happened to know someone who wrote a book and asked if they could narrate it, or they knew someone who knew someone. It still happens. Erin Spencer has led audiobook workshops right here at the Atlanta Voiceover Studio over the years, and she also directs audiobook demos for us. Now, she is not only a successful audiobook narrator herself, but she also owns an audiobook production house. Now, taking workshops from people like Erin doesn't guarantee work, but it does allow you to create a relationship with someone in that part of the industry and a chance to show your skill. Recently, Heidi had the opportunity to interview Penguin Random House casting director Julie Wilson, and she gave a slew of information on there. So if you're interested in audiobooks, make sure you check out that podcast. I'll link it in the show notes. Another great resource to find and connect with people who hire narrators, the APA, or Audio Publishers Association. They have an annual conference called APAC, APAC, and you can find all the major producers there. It's a thing, and that tidbit is according to Julie Wilson, who also mentioned that she goes to writers' conferences to find self-published authors. Moving on to who to search for. The main roles in audiobooks who hire talent are audiobook producers, self-published authors, and casting directors for audiobook production houses. Now, if narrating audiobooks is of interest to you, we've got the perfect class for you. Kurt Bonham is one of our instructors here at the Atlanta Voiceover Studio on ProVoiceoverTraining.com, and he has a 5-week class that is fantastic. I'll link it in the notes. Moving on to dubbing. Where to find opportunities. In-house casting directors. How to find them. Lots of dubbing studios have in-house casting directors and or maintain their own talent roster. To find these studios, simply search for dubbing studios. Who to search for or market to. The role or position you need to search for is dubbing director or even dubbing producer. Connecting with them is a great way to network and also a good way to get on their radar for auditions and castings. We've teamed up with Jessica Blue, who's led our dubbing workshops here at the Atlanta Voiceover Studio, and this is what she has to say. Another method to find out who those contacts are is to look at the end credits on English dubs. For example, Netflix always includes credits for the production team that did each language dub after the main credits. So check out the English credits and you might see some familiar names of people and studios. That is a pro tip. Jessica's got an upcoming dubbing workshop. If you're interested, I'll link it in the notes. Our third genre in part 2 of where to find job opportunities, in-show narration. Where? Agents. But every once in a while, opportunities will pop up on online casting sites, or even through relationships. There was a show that was in the pitch phase that Heidi actually worked on, and she got the opportunity through a studio that she had previously done some voiceover work for. Now the how to find them. Well, they mostly come through agents, but if you want to self-market, you would simply look up production companies. And that's because sometimes production companies create shows and then sell them to the networks and platforms. So when you search online for production companies, look at what shows they've previously produced. That would tell you if they have shows that need in-show narration. Okay, in-show narration. Who to search for, who to market to. Most of the time, the creative director is the one that you would search for because they're in charge of choosing which voice to use. However, it's a great thing to create a relationship with the producer. They're often tasked with finding voiceover talent to present. Our fourth genre in part 2 of where to find voiceover opportunities in each genre, video games. Where do you find the opportunities? Most of the time, it's going to be through agents. How? Well, oftentimes it'll come through the agents, but there are certain agents that get video game opportunities and others that don't. Here in Atlanta, the main voiceover talent agencies are going to get voiceover auditions because Hi-Res Studios is right here in Atlanta. They're local. There are a lot of video game companies in Texas, and you'll more than likely get a good amount of video game auditions from agents in LA and New York. Of course, more than likely, since this is on YouTube, you weren't able to attend our Give and Learn. It's our end-of-the-year charity to benefit the Atlanta Community Food Bank. But we usually get a panel of either producers, casting, talent to answer any and all questions for people who show up. You could do a search on our YouTube channel. Just type in Give and Learn and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about, as well as our guests that we had. But in December 2023, we had Hi-Res Studios audio director Andrea Chang. She was one of our panelists. We also had her on the podcast, so if you missed both of those, I'll link it in the notes. She gave a lot of great information regarding video games, so check it out. And finally, in video games, who to market to, who to search for. Well, it's best to simply go through an agent, and if you don't have an agent and you want to know how to get an agent, check out our Agent Rep Prep class. But if you're wanting to create a relationship with someone in the video game industry who works with voiceover talent, you would look for the audio director. It's also great to stay up to date with what's going on with various video game companies. If you follow them on LinkedIn, just click the bell icon. That way you'll be alerted if there's any new news happening with them. There's also a great organization right here in Georgia called the Georgia Game Developers Organization, and they put out a fantastic newsletter to keep you up to date. Want to learn more about video games? Well, check out our class that covers video games and animation with Ariana Ratner. Yes, I'll link it. All right, that's it for part 2, where to find voiceover opportunities in each genre. We're going to have part 3. That's going to be a good one, but it's going to be a couple weeks. So if you haven't subscribed to us yet, hit that subscribe button so you'll be notified when it comes out. And if you haven't already, please give this video a like. Show me some validation. Please. Seriously, if you do like the video, give it a like. And if you know somebody who could benefit from it, forward it to them. I appreciate you watching. The Atlanta Voiceover Studio and ProVoiceOverTraining.com exists to help equip, elevate, and inspire you in your voiceover journey. Cheers to your success.